on, pass back now. Come on, pass back, baby. I'll get some clothes for you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
Hey sister, I'm doing a little bit better now. My second, I got numero dos yesterday, and it started taking me down a little bit today. So, but I'm feeling a little bit better. I've taken a few Advil, so I'm trying to pull it together.
Pull it together, gotta pull it together. If you are tuning in for the first time, we want to welcome you to Hey Sister. This is a show that is for sisters, about sisters. No, I messed it up, sister. Man, I messed it up. Man, I was about to flow.
For sisters, by sisters, about
For
sisters.
by sisters, about sisters and misters. And we're very lucky to have two sisters who are joining us tonight. If you are on another device, Lena, make sure that that device is muted, okay? So I don't get echo and feedback. Thank you very much. Let's see. We have
Hey Jody.
Hey Jody. Hey Jody. Yes, so excited. And she said to feel better, sister. But absolutely. So we're excited to have these ladies with us. We want you to like, follow, and share, subscribe to Hey Sister on all our social media platforms. We also want you to join the conversation in the comments. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a very special event, but we also, in typical Hey Sister fashion, we're going to get into some hot topics. But before we do that, I want to welcome our guest this evening. We have Lena Graham Morris, who is, boy, what I can say. She's a fellow Taurus, a ride or die chick, businesswoman extraordinaire, diva, as you can see, and how she is all pulled together and got the animal print going, all of those things. Miss Lena Morris, welcome to Hey Sister tonight.
Thank you for having me. So, I mean, I want you to know how much love I have for Hey Sister, because I'm displaced from my home and in a hotel. And Demetria called and I was like, yep, got to make it happen. Got to get on. So when, that's how we are, Taurus.
Like we say, it's a ride or die. She's a ride. I told y'all she's a ride or die, right? So thank you so much for being with us. And, we hope that your situation, it gets worked out. But that's another story. We could tell y'all about that story. Let me tell y'all something. If these landlords ain't acting right, y'all make sure these handle your business, okay? Next up, we have Miss Tita Walker of Tita Walker and Associates. She is the brandologist extraordinaire, and she's rocking. She got that 80s funky vibe with the, the lips, the earrings, the hat. I was like, okay, go ahead on MTV. Go on MTV.
That's right. Hey, everybody. How are you? I'm glad to be on today.
And we're super excited to have you. And she's been on before with her Black Girl, White Girl podcast. So if you haven't checked them out, we'll make sure we drop that in the comments so you can find out more about that podcast as well. And, you know me, you know my sister. So we're going to dive into, as we do in typical Hey Sister fashion, we're going to talk a little bit about hot topics tonight. We're going to start off really on a somber note. Last week, we mentioned it briefly. That's before, I guess, the final determination. But we want to say rest in power to DMX. It's really troubling anytime any life is lost. We know that there are natural transitions in life, and there is not life without there also being death. That's a part of the life cycle. But when someone at this young age, because we all grew up with DMX, right? And so when we see one who is our contemporary pass away, and we know that the struggles that he has had with substances and otherwise, we it tears at our heart in a little different way, right? So, sister, I don't know, what are your thoughts this weekend that's different from where we were last week?
Yeah, I mean, on Friday, I came back to AZ and just ended up having a really, really emotional moment. I shed quite a few tears. Thinking about, one of my favorite songs is "Slippin'," and when that song was played in the versus battle, I remember crying then, because it's like, the refrain about "the Lord is with you now," and so that's immediately what I thought about. That I believe, I've said before, having had sort of my own out of body type experience before, where I felt like I understood what it was like to get close to death. I think there's a peace that overcomes people, and that they probably, I know this sounds crazy, but they don't intend to sort of walk into the light, or they don't intend, to end, but then there's a peace that overcomes them, that it doesn't probably feel like it's worth coming back. And at least for me, I want to believe that that's what happened, that after all the pain that DMX has experienced, he was overcome by peace and decided that it was time to go on ahead to the other side. So Rob and I were talking, because I was like, I could have sworn he performed at a homecoming, and he was like, yeah, he was there in '98. And so again, it's one of those things where I think the year before I got to Southern, Aaliyah performed, and then again DMX, and just different folks over the years. It's that reminder that time flies, life is fleeting, and then you start thinking about things like your college years and stuff like that, and how quickly that has gone by. So and definitely DMX's CDs were on heavy rotation. Yes, CDs were in heavy rotation in my dorm room. So yeah, rest in power to that king.
Yeah, rest in power for sure. Lena, Tita, either of you have any thoughts? Because I know Lena does, because y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. That's like one of her theme songs.
So my husband and I are like huge music buffs. He's a retired DJ, and I worked in the music industry, and so he did an entire like, I guess, dedication to DMX while this was happening, and was playing it through. And so for me, it just continues to resonate, that folks that are in my age range, this is serious. So mental wellness, physical wellness, mind, body, soul, it's just, it's real, it's critical. Fame, money, fortune, all of that, none of that matters. It's really the balance and harmony that you have to bring together in your life. So the more that I see my peers, things happening to them, it just really makes me take a double take on what's important, and what are we working towards, and just reevaluate. So that's what it does, or did, for me. And then, I mean, just the music piece of it, like I said, we're both, my husband and I, just huge music buffs, and so that was a hard one. It was just like, wow, so many theme songs, the Rough Riders, because at one point when I worked in the music industry, we did do some work with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tita, what about you?
So, I mean, as you know, I'm not a big, huge music person. However, I did know DMX, right? I did know about him and his songs and so forth, and who he is. as just his character, and just he was very powerful. And I think this is, like Lena was mentioning, it's just a testament to that. It doesn't really matter who you are. Demons can be hardcore and real, right? And that's why we need to have so much more grace in the world, because you never know what's going on behind doors, and people just judge, and they just assume, and you don't know what people are going through at all. So that's where my heart really broke towards him, because I know he's been challenged, and unfortunately that challenge, he ended up succumbing to, the challenge and the struggle. And so I do truly just hope he's just resting, like you all said, rest in power, rest in paradise. So, because it's hard to fight those struggles when you're trying to navigate the world and society, and how society goes, right? And so it's challenging.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you're out there watching, join the conversation in the comments. If you have some thoughts, you have some feelings, some feedback on the transition of DMX, another one of our artists of our times, and how maybe his music have touched you. Our cousin shared a recent concert that she had gone to. I think it was right before, COVID and everything shut down. I think it was 2019 at the House of Blues there in New Orleans. And it was the energy was so high. We know the verses, man. That was like one of the best verses battle with him and Snoop, just the love and the energy. It was just so powerful. Mm-hmm. So, again, like we said, rest in power, King. And, we'll see you on the other side. We all have that journey to take at some point. But we want to do, like you said, Lena, have harmony and balance and be as well as possible for as long as possible. We also had another transition this week. This is someone who's on the other end, like 99. Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, passed away. He was actually have had some in the recent months, some serious health conditions. But at 99, you're like, I kind of expect you to have some serious health conditions. Your body has lived longer than most. But hearing the Queen and what she wrote about, he's always been her strength and her stay. I know she's 94 or 95, I believe. We know couples who have been married 73 years. You're like, say what now? It's like, wow. Because none of their children lasted in the marriage that long. None of their children's marriages lasted that long. So they did something right. I know they started young, but they did something right. So we don't have a lot to say on it. I don't know, sister, what say you about the Duke of Edinburgh? And I never understood all his titles, because he was a prince. He actually was a prince because he was Greek royalty, but then he was on the run because they were exiled. His family was exiled, and then he ended up, it's a whole story behind it. If you watch The Crown, you know all the details.
Correct. So rest on Prince Philip, and
that's what you're doing.
I say I'm looking at the Saturday Night Live skit. Yeah, our Prince had passed away a few years ago. So I'm not going to take this man's passing lightly. But he was 99 years old. Now, yes, I would have loved for him to get to 100 because I'm sure it would have been a lot of pomp and circumstance. But at the same time, that brother looked like he was struggling, man. He was struggling. So, man, get your rest, bro. Get your rest.
Okay, well, I'm going to take it from y'all's laughter that y'all good on that, right?
Oh, I didn't know he. Sorry, I didn't know he passed. You remember? I didn't know he passed.
Oh Lord, Tita.
And Jody's on, so she knows me. And she was like, girl, he passed like 2-3 mornings ago. I was like, oh, okay, well,
Well, I'm going to tell y'all this. So my girlfriend, one of my good college friends, if you out there, Taya Sproul, I hope you listening because I'm going to tell your story. So she posted on Facebook how her kids sent her a message about Prince Philip passing away, but no updates on DMX, and talk about hashtag parent fail. And I was like, that's because you bougie. You up here raising these Blackish children. We got to get our priorities in order, people. Okay, how about that? Anyway, that's just a little funny and aside, because the next topic that we're going into is not funny at all. If you haven't seen the video footage yet, I'm going to drop the link in where you can watch it. So the police still out here policing. And this situation happened back in December of 2020. And now there's a lawsuit that is pending. And I think that's why some of this video footage has now made it to the public sphere. So we're learning about it here 4 months later. But an Army lieutenant was pulled over by the Windsor police in Virginia, which is outside of Norfolk. And it was absolutely, it was a maddening, aggravating. I mean, I don't even know how many things I can say. We watched the video together. Here's the link. You all can go watch the video. Ladies, what say you about this situation and what you've seen? Especially juxtaposed to what we're seeing happening with the Derek Chauvin trial.
Well, so I'm gonna be short. I'll start it out. I'm just tired. There's nothing to say. Watching the video made me tired. I'm already tired every day. It made me more tired. And so, I mean, I just, what's next? What's going to happen? What are the next steps? Because there's really the words for me just are not there anymore. It just is. We continue to have the same conversation over and over again. It's exhausting. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
On top of just trying to maintain on a daily basis. That's it. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm. What about you, sister?
Oh, I don't know if you wanted to go to Tita first, and I can go afterwards.
Tita, what about you?
I mean, shocking, no. Surprise, no. Unfortunately, and which is sad in itself, right? Because I mean, I should have some reaction to it. I mean, I have reaction like being, here we go again, right? Here we go again. But am I shocked? Am I surprised? No. And and watching that video on CNN, it was the after the fact that kind of was like was it the captain that was talking to him or the lieutenant, whoever was talking to him after the fact about, oh, we can just leave it here because nothing's going to happen to me anyway. If you want to take it to authorities or take it to do something, fight and argue about it, because nothing's going to happen to me. That's where I was kind of like, wow, see, and that's the thing. So that's what these officers, that's their mindset, that nothing's going to happen to them. And so until we can, have these police departments, the structure really change and shift, and have each officer has to be accountable, responsible for all their action, then they will keep saying, oh, nothing's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Because nothing has happened to them.
Yeah.
Really, technically.
Yeah. We got a couple comments. Denise Alexander said he is lucky to be here to sue, which is absolutely true. Jody said, OMG, OMG. They said he was resisting because he didn't stop when he saw the lights. He was trying to drive where there was lighting. And they even said that, oh yeah, that happens a lot because the way the media is skewing what's happening with race relations. It's like the media is clearly not skewing it because you came out here guns a-blazing and never said to me, you're being pulled over for such and such, which is standard in a traffic stop. Anyway, child, I don't know. Sister, I'm gonna let you have the last word. Then we're gonna move on to better and brighter topics.
Yeah, I mean, I posted our thing here to promote on my page, and I'm trying not to cuss. I said I was going to try to find words that don't result in me cursing, but I'm angry. I'm tired, but I'm angry. Oh, did my earring just fall off? Okay. My earring's angry too. So first of all, I always, when the racists come out, the first thing they'll say is, well, he wasn't white. This is reminiscent of when Trayvon Martin was killed, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted to point out that George Zimmerman was in the Latinx community, except his last name is Zimmerman, and I'm sure he used his white skin privilege or lighter skin privilege for on multiple occasions. And so the same with this guy Gutierrez, who's out there holding out his gun, clearly too fat to actually run behind anybody, or to actually if that guy, it's one of those things like if there were no guns, and if I knew that my life wasn't in complete danger, it's no way in hell that brother wouldn't have whooped you up and down the street. But it's that sense of power and entitlement. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if your last name is Gutierrez or not. As someone who is in a marginalized group, you should know better. And it is always baffling to me that a situation, it's one thing when one police officer is on the scene, but as soon as that second police officer rolls up, it always turns into something else. It always gets escalated. There was absolutely no reason for them to pepper spray this young man. Mm-hmm. He did nothing wrong. He was simply trying to understand, why are you pulling me over? Now, as a woman, I have always said that if I am followed by the police, I would do the exact same thing. I would find a well-lit gas station or public place to pull over. I am not pulling over on the side of the highway. I'm not pulling over on a busy street, because not only does that put me in physical danger, I mean, we have seen police officers hit by speeding cars because they worried about executing a traffic stop. Mm-hmm. But it's also because there are people out here who perpetrate as police officers. Mm-hmm. They have all you gotta do is go to the costume store. Mm-hmm. They have badges, they have outfits,
they got lights for their cars and everything.
Yeah, I'm not stopping somewhere to put myself in danger. And so the idea that you spray this dude, then, like you said, all the directions, it's like, y'all just looking for a reason to shoot somebody. Because you want him to put his hands out the window, but now you want him to unbuckle his seatbelt, but you just pepper sprayed him in the eye and he can't see. Now, the natural inclination when you get sprayed in the face is to do what? Start to rub your eyes. Okay, then you saying he resisting arrest. It's like I'm tired, but I'm angry, because when it comes down to it, what recourse do we really have? Even if this man sues, what they gonna do? They gonna lose their job, then they gonna go to another jurisdiction and do the same stupid shit all over again. So it never ends. Mm-hmm. And it's the idea that we are law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. This man is in his army fatigues. He is serving our country. And I gotta pay somebody to treat me like shit? That is unbelievable. Like, I pay your salary. And it's supposed to be okay for me to be treated that way. That's it. I just, it's so infuriating. And even when you get laws changed, we've been seeing this. And the thing that I need white people or folks who say that they're our allies to understand. If you've ever been able to cuss out the police and make it home to your kids, if you've ever been able to spit in a coronavirus environment and spit and have your bodily fluids going everywhere, and you're still alive, if you committed mass murder, which we've seen happen, and you get to go and get something to eat, stop telling us how we should comply or how we should operate or how we should feel. Because at the end of the day, that man wasn't read his Miranda rights if he was under arrest. Didn't nobody even tell him why he was being pulled over? And that's the kind of stuff that, I'm sorry, as a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, I pray that he gets something out of this. But now he's going to be probably a target. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll wrap it up, is there are inherent dangers that come with all jobs. Lena is in construction. I am pretty sure when she goes to a construction site, she has to put on a hard hat. Even though her hair might have just been freshly done, she has to put on a hard hat. This is because there are dangers on that job. If you cannot handle the dangers that come with your respective line of work, you probably need to find some other work. Because here's the thing, police officers don't get paid that well. So go find something else you can do that doesn't allow you or cause for you to become so erratic and emotional. For what? If he did have dark tint and no plates. LA, there is a traffic, what is it? You chase every day.
Yeah.
So
and innocent people often get hurt when they're doing those high-speed traffic chases, right?
And just so
we got a few comments here. Felicia Brookins says law enforcement has been wild west mode against Black people since its inception. Denise Alexander says ditto, going to the light. She's like you, she's not stopping. Felicia also comment, I had a high school friend killed by a guy that pretended he was a police officer. It was her senior year. She didn't get to graduate. So we know that it exists. And she also says bullies wear police uniform, hoods, and corporate ties.
Yep.
They come in all shapes, sizes.
So do murderers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the people don't realize that they're actually the ones that paid for the lawsuit, not the officers themselves. And that's where that needs to shift, where the officers have to be accountable for those situations, like go hit them hard in the pockets where it hits their family and all that. Then you're going to have officers that'll be like, well, I don't want to do this job. Well, then we don't want you then, because why are you in the role to be a bully? You should be in the role to protect and serve. So if you actually come in to protect and serve, then you won't have anything to worry about.
Right, because it's the taxpayers in Minnesota who already paid the civil suit for in the Derek Chauvin murder of George Floyd. It's not Derek Chauvin, because actually the police union is paying for his defense.
Yeah, exactly. And then even if he goes to jail, then they're going to have to pay again, because they've been paying as he's been sitting in jail, and they'll have to pay again.
So taxpayers, what y'all want to
do? Yes, that's where it needs to be. Yes.
But we're going to transition now. Woo, that was some lengthy high time.
Sorry. That made me so angry.
Get it in your spirit. All right. Right now, everybody, you are tuning in to Hey Sister. We are live. Make sure you follow us on all of these social media platforms. We are joined tonight by Lena Morris and Tita Walker. And we're getting to the heart of what we're going to talk about this evening. And that is the 5th annual Spring into Leadership Women's Conference. Woohoo! Yay! So annually, my company has hosted a women's conference that started off as an idea and a dream and a hope and a belief that we could do it. And we're gonna talk a little bit about the origin story there. But this year's theme is POWher, and the POW stands for the power of women. Last year we had to pivot and go virtual for the first time ever. And the theme there was emerge. Like, we're going to emerge out of this pandemic. Well, y'all, guess what? I had no idea we still was going to be in this pandemic right now. But that's why this year is all about power. As women, we have been with a racial reckoning in this country right now. We have been with a social reckoning about women and our position. And this is the year for women to fully embrace, walk in, and really unleash our collective power. And so I chose this theme because I know that when one woman is empowered, she then in turn empowers other women. And when women, the power of women is unleashed, worlds are changed, economies are changed, lives are changed. And so that's what this year's theme is all about. It's all about the POWher. So I'm so excited to talk about this, but let's get into a little bit of the origin. So I think probably Lena and Christina want to, you all were there with me when I first came up with this idea. I hadn't known Tita at that time. And so Lena, I came to the chamber that day and was sitting in the back office with you. And I said, I want to do a women's conference. And you were like, oh, okay. And in typical Lena fashion, she pulled out a pen. Y'all see, she still got a pen and a piece of paper right there because she's writing notes now. So what did you think when I first came to you and said, hey, I want to do a women's conference?
So I thought it was a great idea because of the way that you engaged clients. So having had the privilege to work with you on projects and be a client, I was able to see how you worked and the difference that in your leadership and what you were able to bring to the table. And I apologize for the fur babies in the back if you can hear them because they are off the chain right now. But we will push through it and talk about this bringing in leadership. But so I was excited because I wanted to see your play on this conference. There are so many conferences that go on, and I would never take anything away from any conference. I think each and every event has a place for someone, but I knew that you had something special to bring to the table. So I was really excited to kind of do the discovery session and just dump it out and say, okay, what does this look like? And where do you want to go with this? And it was just, a spirit of resilience. Like it was going to happen no matter what. The first conference was at Herzing University, and we talked about the targets that you wanted to hit and the community partners, and it was just you got it done. We got it done, and you made a huge impact. So there's never been a time when your conference has not ended, especially in person, when someone has not ended up with that aha moment or in tears. And I think the first year everybody was in tears just for that that grassroots touch, that just the realness of it. And it just resonated with, I think that as women, we will connect to certain things. I think that as women, we will all find our tribe with certain people. And I just believe that the authentic, genuine spirit that you bring to the table, it brings your tribe and women who need to hear what you have to say together, and it always is impactful. So I just remember that first time, and then from there, just every year just evolving and getting better. And even with COVID, it's not going to stop. It's going to continue on. So I'm excited to see this year what's going to happen. I can just personally say that I have paid lots of money to attend lots of conferences, but I particularly can give the testimony that I just had life-changing events throughout the entire process. Not only you and I working very closely together, but the quality speakers that you brought. I have to give a shout out to Dr. Larissa Ferdinand Dukes. And it was the first time in a group setting that I was able to actually speak to a Black doctor who, for lack of better words, gave a who about things that were happening to me, enough to say, let's continue the conversation. And then she helped me to resolve some things in my life. And I've said this before, and I stand behind it. If I had met her 5 years prior, she would have changed the entire trajectory of my family, because I was dealing with some infertility situations that were just, and illnesses that my other OBGYNs, who just happened to be of another persuasion. So I'm not going to say that they didn't care, but the outcome was they didn't care. Okay, so, they didn't pay what I was saying any attention, which caused me just continued problems. They were pushing it, sweeping it under the rug. And so that was just a cherry on top just to be able to have that transition to happen. And so I cannot stress enough to any woman of color who is looking for other women of color that have something of substance, something life-changing. If as you say in your tagline, change your vantage point, change your life. So if you don't want to change your life, do not come to this conference. Let me just tell you, just continue to do what you're doing. Do not come, do not invest in yourself. Keep on doing what you do. But if you do, then you need to probably jump online right now and get that ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that. And I know, sister, you've been there from the beginning. But I want to go toss to Tita first, and then I'm going to come to you. And so, Tita, tell us about your experiences, because you came one year. So we met like at the end of 2017, and I told you, I host this conference. You were like, oh, okay, I'm going to come. Yeah, okay, I'll go. And I think you and a few others were like that. You were like, okay, yeah, we'll go. We'll support Demetria. And then you were like, oh. So tell me about your experience, Tita.
Because that is how it was. I was like, okay, I'll go to a I'm laughing because when I tell you about my experience, it's going to be fun. It's true. It's real of how a lot of stuff transpired. So that's why I'm laughing, because I was like, okay, I'll go to another one. I've been to lots of them before, but I'll go ahead and go because I do want to support Demetria, right? So that's what I was going for, is really just to support you. But when I went, I was like, wow, this conference is the real deal. And I even brought my friend she's even more skeptical of things when it comes to conferences and coaches, right? And she was like, wow, that was some great content. And for me, I think a reason why I'm such a fan of, I call it SIL, I like to be the cheerleader, because I didn't know that was a tip going to that conference was a tip to help me, because what was it? 7 months later, I started going through a divorce. But from that conference, I was able to meet some of the, like you had Jane on there, Janie, who's a therapist. I'm fine with talking about my experience, who's a therapist, but I wouldn't have met her if I didn't go to the conference. I wouldn't have been able to hear some things from her, and then some from your other speakers. And then I was able to tap into her, to help me go through some of the divorce separation stuff. But I wouldn't have received any of that if I didn't go to the conference. And I didn't know that was going to be your conference was my instrument to what was coming down the road. So that's why I laugh. And I can laugh even more because I end up bringing you on as a coach. Mm-hmm. And then you help me unpack a lot of things, which we don't have enough time for, but it'll be in my book. A lot of stuff. And so that's why I could smile and literally be happy, because folks don't realize, the last 2 years of what it's been like for me. But your conferences, your coaching, and I wouldn't have known about you coaching unless I went to your conference, because even though I met you as a coach, I was like, yeah, coach, okay. But when I went to your conference and I was able to really see what substance you truly have to help with people actually transforming, like not just do this, do that, but just be able to apply and use it. Like when I'm doing things just in my business or my life, I can hear, like I have the voice of God discernment, but I also have the voice of Demetria, I think I just laughed myself off the hook. That's literally what she would say. So let me step back into it. So that's why I can laugh and just smile, because you who you are as a coach, your conference has been so vital for me, just so instrumental, especially for the last 2 years. I'm sweating because I just testifying of how I don't know really what things would be like for me the last 2 years if I didn't have you in my life as a coach, a friend, and your conference and to meet folks like Lena and to meet Christina, because they're in my circle and my community and are there next to me, always cheering me on, no matter what it is I'm doing. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, sister. What about your experience? So, obviously, you're my sister, and so you're always like, "Yes, I'm going to support you," and what have you. And I know you've been to a lot of conferences. We've been to some together. Some who have a lot of name recognition, notoriety, and yeah. Let me toss it to you. Tell me about your experience.
So, I mean, I was listening to what Lena and Tita were saying, and there were just so many things that I was agreeing with. Of course, look, I don't want to make it a sales pitch, but I'm going to make it a sales pitch because I think that I have been to a lot of conferences, and I've been to conferences for work. I've been to conferences for sorority, and I've been to conferences just even when I've just personally chosen to attend certain things for my own personal and professional development. And I can say that I feel that your conference is great because not to always make it a race issue, but the fact of the matter is there are Black women out here doing extraordinary things. You know, Lena referenced Dr. Larissa, Tita referenced Janie. But, you know, even when we did the virtual one last year, I mean, it was a panel. The panel that I moderated was a panel of Black women who are in tech. And obviously, one of the things that I often say is the reason I believe that there's still so much gender and racial bias in tech is because people don't think of us as scientists. They don't think of us as engineers. You know, Lena Morris, when I heard her story about her family's business, by the way, congratulations on the contract that you all just landed. When you hear about this Black woman, young Black woman, like we ain't talking about somebody 80 and then they just got on at 75. This is a young Black woman who is running a multi-million-dollar construction company. You don't and this is just leaning on your circle. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, you know, again, not to make it about race, but sometimes, and all women are welcome. Hell, men are welcome too. I'm not saying that there's any restriction.
We had a panel of men last year.
We had a panel of men last year. Very
a hot panel. I have to bring it back when we can get them in person.
Yes, indeed, that was a very intriguing panel. Because you know the game is played real different. Men play the game real different in this professional life, and it's great to have that level of insight. But as a Black woman, sometimes for me, I just need to be around folks who understand what those and recognize those microaggressions. Sometimes they ain't even micro, they just straight up macro. It's all up in your face aggression. I need women, sisters, to be able to talk to and bounce things off of because, you know, when I'm sitting in a meeting and someone talks over me, if a white man talks over me, it's a problem. But then when I'm sitting with another woman, be it a white woman, Asian woman, what have you, and she doesn't have my back as a woman, that's not something that, you know, they may not have ever thought about it at all. But because it happens to us so often, these are the kind of conversations that we're able to have at this conference that, you know, truth be told, some of the bigger name conferences, especially once they get all these nice corporate sponsorships and stuff, they're afraid to broach certain topics. But certain topics have to be broached. Sometimes we have to talk about what it means to wear masks in the workplace. You know I hear all the time, oh, we want you to bring your authentic self to work. No, you don't. Because if I brought my authentic self to work, you wouldn't even be able to handle it. And it's so much work to try to make you feel comfortable and get my work done and then do all the other stuff that they tell me I need to do in order all the other things that I have to do in order to climb this rung, this ladder, as you always talk about, to get to the imaginary brass ring to prove that I'm successful. So those are conversations that we don't get a chance to have in other settings.
Yeah.
And so that's why Spring into Leadership has been meaningful to me. And you talked about that first year, you know, I'm gonna try not to be extra long-winded, but I already am, but y'all know who my daddy is, so it don't matter. I remember, anytime you're planning a conference, you're always feeling like you're always focused on the things that's going wrong, right? Oh, I ran out of handouts, or, this thing didn't work out exactly how I wanted it to, or I flubbed the line when I was, talking or something. That's the kind of stuff that you focus on as the organizer. But to Lena's point, at that first conference specifically, I don't think there was a dry eye in the room. And that's kind of been that's been the experience pretty much every year, but that year specifically, because I think there was a weight lifted off of you as the organizer to be like, oh, I got it done. I wanted to do this thing and I got it done. Mm-hmm. And then, I think Cecily closed it out that year.
Yes.
And she had us all the way broke down. So, and then just people who were standing up from the audience and speaking their truth about, serious stuff in their lives. And that's like, you don't get that at other conferences. So I'm going to tell folks, register if because Demetria is purposely making it something that we can all afford. And you need it for yourself. Trust me. I don't care if we ain't in person. You can be online. These folks still get on my nerves via Zoom. So I need to separate. I need a reprieve. And for me, that's what Spring into Leadership is.
And if I can say something, Demetria, so 2 things really quick. So 1, we cannot continue to, as women and women of color, to put out a prayer and ask for things and we don't support them. So I'm just going to say a shame on anyone if you've asked for a quality conference and you do not support this conference, because I have seen Demetria and her team continue to press through no matter what to make this quality product available. And I think that on the other side, I'm just going to say it, people get confused and they're like, oh, she's having a conference, she's just making all this money. No, it takes so many resources and so much to put on an event. And so, anyone who's having any thoughts like that, I'd like to just go out on a limb and be the person, kind of like Christina said, it's not a sales pitch, but it is a sales pitch, that kind of put that out of your mind and really go to the place of supporting. And then to piggyback on what you were saying about the collaboration, as women, we have to do better. So I'm in the construction industry and I'm surrounded by men who do not like each other on a personal basis. But let me tell you something, when a project comes up and it's money on the table, the phone is picked up and it's brother, this is coming down the pipe, brother, can we partner on this? And all of that emotion and anything that's happened and could be kind of held against each other is squashed. It's done. For the going to the larger picture of collaboration to create an economic impact. And so the power that we have as women, the power that we have as women of color to come together, we have no excuse. We have no excuse. We need to put all of the petty BS behind us. We need to lock arms and lock the front line and get it done. Anything that we want to do, we have access. It's like the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, we got on the ruby red slippers. We just need to click them to go home. And we forget it all the time. We forget the access that we have. And I believe Spring into Leadership is always a constant reminder that we have that access. It's so close. And this is why you should invest in yourself and attend and support a small business like Vantage Point Coaching, who's not trying to make it a ludicrous price, who's not trying to make it unattainable. This is something that you've gone out of your way to make it palatable every time. And so I cannot stress and I cannot advocate enough to get behind and support, because what will happen is when these quality programs go away, then people are like, oh, wow, that was a great conference. I wonder what happened. What happened is you didn't support. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, y'all got me. Ooh, you got me sweating now up in here. Let me see. I'm getting my shine on. We got a lot of comments here. So Shireen is tuning in. Hey, Shireen, I know you've been. You could drop something in the comments. Dr. Larissa's tuning in. Shireen's tuning in. DJ Tammy Nix, one of my faves, she's tuning in too. Felicia said, "Say that, Queen. We ask for quality and don't support it." And I think Nisi was giving you an amen on that, because she said, this is a sermon right here. And then we said, you're right. Folks don't see the cost of an event, and it's more than financial. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No excuses. You have access to your healing. I love that. And this is something else Felicia said, and I think it's real powerful. And it goes with that theme of power. You know, it's the year of women's tears, prayers, and heart's desires being manifested. I am in agreement with that. And like you said, I really have been intentional, because my vision was always to have a quality conference at a price point that you don't need a corporate sponsor. You don't need to ask your company to pay for it. You can access it on your own without having any guilt about it, right?
But I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you really quickly. Sorry about that, sister.
Okay, sister.
But Lena made the point about people may think you're walking away making a whole bunch of money. But here's the thing: if you were, so what? Did you get your money's worth? Mm-hmm. I think that when I was in Florida, what was that? Back in September of last year. And I was having a conversation with Miss Tita, our brand expert right here. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her about some projects that I was working on. And we just started talking through how much money it ain't my money. So let's be clear. But how much money I spend on hiring people to do things with the same level of expertise that she has. These are the kind of conversations that we need to have more of. Mm-hmm. Because as sisters, we are often undervaluing our expertise. Mm-hmm. And I know Lena is all about that, getting your paper. If I have seen, again, attended a lot of conferences and have seen where folks will spend a grip of money to go to an event because certain folks say that's the event to go to. But then what do they really walk away with other than some selfies in their cute attire? What are they really walking away with? Has it changed their lives? Mm-hmm. And if it changed your life and Demetria was able to get rich off of it in the process, that's a win-win for both of you. But that ain't happening. She ain't rich off of it. But I just feel like so often
we want her to, though, right? We want.
My point, I want her to get rich off of her passion. Don't we all want to get rich off of our passion? That's the whole reason why we try to walk in our purpose, so that we don't have to worry about the money aspect of it. But people often say, to your point, that they want to be supportive. And I'm not trying to pick on folks, but I see us spending our funds on things that are less valuable for our lives. And I see my girl Kim has joined. She has participated in the conference. She has been a panelist. Let me tell you real quick about this, sister, real quick.
Yes, Kim Wilson. Hey, Kim Wilson.
Just the other day, Lovey Ajay, everybody knows Lovey, awesomely Lovey, wrote a book. Kimberly sponsored a few of us to attend this conference, and it wasn't a conference, it was a conference call basically. But Lovey was was moderated. there was a moderated discussion between her and another young lady. And, Kim sponsored a group of us to go to that conference and then to receive Lovey's latest book. That's the kind of stuff we got to do for each other. Because if I have the means to do it and pull somebody else and allow them to have this experience, I should do that. And so, and I'm willing to do that. So I'll say that here. If there's somebody out there who says, I absolutely want to attend this conference and I just can't afford it, then I'm willing to sponsor you to come to this conference.
Oh, wow.
And I second that. I second that with Christina. If it's another person out there who cannot attend, so there you got 2 scholarships.
There you go.
Well, I have a challenge then. I have a challenge for every person on here watching.
Oh, Kim Wilson the same too. Oh, y'all about to make me cry, Lord Jesus. Oh, my God. Okay. Woo. Okay, go ahead, Tita. I'm sorry.
To every person watching right now to share the conference with the registration link to attend the conference. If you haven't even registered yet, to register for the conference as well. So that's my challenge for everyone.
All right. Well, thank you for that challenge. I am going to get with my marketing team tomorrow and say we got 3 scholarships out there we can promote. And we'll talk offline of what y'all want them to do to qualify, or if you want it to be anything, or if it's a first come first. So we'll talk about those details. Felicia says, just imagine if we had a collaborative win-win mindset for each other, the power in that. That is most definitely power that. Oh, Donna says she'll sponsor a person also. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Let me stop. Let me get it together. That's beautiful. So y'all talked about a lot of it. So, why should we invest in ourselves? Y'all kind of have hit on that. I mean, if we don't invest in ourselves, who else is going to invest in us? And I do want to say, this conference is open to all women. But I have been very intentional that the majority of the speakers and presenters are Black women specifically. And the reason why is because we always go to conferences where we don't see ourselves on the agenda, but we still show up.
Yes.
And I wanted to create a conference where we're on the agenda. Because like you said, I know doctors and lawyers and scientists and people who are in construction and finance and branding and wellness and you name it. I know a sister that's doing it and doing it well. Marketing executives, people who are in the C-suite, all of that. And we just don't see each other enough, and also we go to these big name conferences, like you said, sister, and then we can't touch the people. I wanted to create that experience where you could actually touch that speaker and that presenter, and they're accessible to you. And that matters. That really does matter. At least it matters to me. And that's why I wanted to create the type of experience that I created. And so you should definitely invest in yourself, because if you don't, who will, right?
Right.
And along with all that too, and what Lena was saying and what Christina was saying, about supporting each other, sharing each other, investing in yourselves. And I'm just going to keep it even real with all that is the way the universe works. We all want to do something more in our lives. We all desire something more. Well, that more won't come if we don't invest in others. If we don't, have our priorities be about investing in others and being there for others. So that's another thing that I feel like I see within our community is like, there's a lot of things that we want to do and a lot of things that we want to achieve as Black women, but we also need to remember that in order for the universe, the spirit, whatever, to come back and help you expound on that, you have to be willing to also support others and invest in others to be able to also receive your blessing. So
why should we back off of that? I just want to say really quickly, like with Miss Felicia on here, Felicia has been a great supporter of Hey Sister. I reached out to her with a project that I was working on, and she said, I can't work on it, but I have someone who can, and put me in contact with that gentleman is a brother. And we are working together on a project. And that's the kind of thing that happens at Spring Into Leadership, because, unless we're in a room and talking to each other, we don't know who knows whom and what expertise people have. And I firmly believe, to Tita's point about, the reciprocity of it all, but I really firmly believe that everything we need when we're trying to go for our goals and our aspirations, every single thing we need, we already have it. We have access to it. We just have to be in the position to tap into it. And so I just would encourage people, don't miss your blessing. This might be the opportunity that you've been waiting for to connect with the right person.
And I've seen that happen. I've seen, talk about connections built. I've seen people, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, they met at Spring in the Leadership and now they're doing business together. Oh, she hired her for this, or they hired this person for that. And I've seen it happen. And I can't wait. Felicia's going to be on our panel. She's going to be one of the authors, because one of the segments this year is the power of her story, because we all have a story. Everybody has a story. So whether it's based on your expertise, it might be something that's fictional or creative. It may be self-help. It may be from your life and lived experiences. It could be a memoir, whatever it is. We all women have a story. And many, many people say they want to write a book, but they never do, or they don't know how. So we have a panel dedicated just to that, because I want everyone who attends Spring in the Leadership to write their story, because it's important for our stories to be told, and not enough of our stories are being told. So that's important to me too. Why should people do the VIP? So Lena and Tita, you've done the VIP experience. Sister, you did. Oh, you did. Oh, yeah, you did it when we were here in Lake Nona. Yeah, that's right. So why should you attend the VIP? And so the VIP experience, it's still going to be virtual, but it's going to be a VIP experience. Trust me.
Well, when you talk about having the one-on-one and the connections that you need to make and the blessings that you don't want to miss out on, that VIP experience really gets to put you in the room with a lot of the integral parts of your conference, movers and shakers, and to have that one-on-one experience. Plus, it's always a quality lineup that you have that is just very, very intense. So I encourage it, because it's going to be a quality experience. I don't care what it is. There's never been a disappointment that I have experienced with your VIP session ever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tita, what about you?
Well, I mean, even there's just the gifts, or the headshots that we received at some of the VIPs, and some of the shoe bag. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it real. The gifts too are just, when you by yourself and you ain't in a relationship, you ain't getting no gifts. I'm sorry, but then VIPs because I'm getting gifts, right? So the gifts, but like Lena said, just the conversations, because it seems like you have more intimate conversations, because you're not sitting in in a more of a structure. With the conference, of course, we're sitting more of a structure because you're flowing a program through, whereas the VIP is just a little bit more relaxed and more intimate. You might be sipping on something and you're making those hardcore connections, and I know I have, so I think that's, and who doesn't want to say I'm a VIPer? I mean, come on. I went to the VIP yesterday. Did you not go? And they're like, no. Well, you missed this and this and that. Oh, I did? Well, I gotta make sure I go next year. Yes. So be a VIP, or don't miss out, because we get surprises, and then you get to have great, great intimate conversations.
Yes. And yeah, the VIP gifts are always a little extra. I will say that. It's always a little bit extra. Oh, but Tammy agreed with you about the connections and the intimate relationships. And so I don't know, anything you all want to say. We're gonna get ready to wrap up.
You didn't ask me why VIP.
Oh, why VIP, sister? Okay.
Well, I just wanted to hammer home the point that Tita just made about the free stuff, because one thing we know for sure is you need a professional headshot. Mm-hmm. And so often we need them when we don't, like right when you need them, you don't have them and you have no access. I mean, think about this whole pandemic. How many times have you been able to really get together with somebody to get your headshots refreshed or what have you? So it's always, it was wonderful to be able to get that headshot. And if you friends with me on LinkedIn, that's it. It's in black and white. It's in color on some places. It's all over the place. I have it on my Outlook at work. Yes, all of that. So I utilize that headshot, and it's very important because, you know,
I have seen those headshots.
My signature. It's in my email signature.
I have seen those headshots show up, like all types of people, and I'm like, oh,
they're
headshot. Everybody. Even some of them from a couple years ago, people will bring them back out, and that's worth the price of admission alone for the VIP. Those headshots. Now we won't be able to do those headshots this year. I mean, we will have our virtual photo booth and all of that. However, I believe in when the things we put in speakers and in your participant bags. You know, a lot of stuff we get is trinkety stuff, and we end up doing tossing that stuff. But I always felt for my VIP bags that it will be things that are functional, and that shoe
bag, okay?
You can't be.
My shoe bag was stolen by my sister. I'm still upset about that thing. I cannot. She was like, "Oh, this is nice," and the next thing I know, she just snuck it. Just
yes, it's nice. And that the wine glass.
Did you take my shoe bag?
Well, I want to say one last thing about that headshot. Not to belabor the point, but in this day and age, taking pictures of your bathroom, that's not cute. Using a selfie. That's not cute. I mean, like, yes, it's a time and a place for a selfie, but it is definitely a time and a place for a professional headshot. One of those places being on your LinkedIn profile. We also learned how quickly you can connect via LinkedIn with all of the people in your room, something that we learned at the Spring Into Leadership Conference. The third reason I'll say for the VIP, why VIP? Because I hate networking. I hate the term networking, but in the good words of my buddy Austin, and we already got it on the t-shirt, so don't try to steal it. That networking is one letter away from not working. So you have to do it. You have to do it. And this kind of setting allows you to do it and not feel like it's fake, phony, and pretentious, because that's what we really don't like. We don't like making frivolous conversation. And so this allows for you to actually connect and make a connection, because that's what it's really about. It's not networking, as I think Leslie said that last week.
Leslie said it last week, yeah.
2 weeks ago. It is about connection.
And actually relationship building.
Yes.
You have your entire conference, and specifically that VIP, relationship building.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Tammy put that in the she said you allow the VIP ladies to all introduce each other, whereas the main conference you wouldn't get that opportunity to really kind of connect in with each other. You missed that a little bit there. Mm-hmm. So, well, if you were saying to somebody why they should participate, or if you have a friend out there now, look, we got 4 scholarships on the table already. So, why should others participate? Why should they sign up right now?
Well, I'm going to say, honestly, first of all, it ain't going to be on Zoom. I do know the platform that we're using, and it's going to be very interactive. So it's not be another Zoom fatigue. And trust me, you will be interacting, because we'll know when you're not. So it will be good for you to, attend and interact and take in everything, that all the content, all the wisdom, all the insights, and even the connection that you still be able to do with this interaction. I have not seen anyone do this. So for you, that's definitely one of the reasons why you want to do it, because it's going to be something different and unique for you. And we all need something different and unique in our life. And besides having something different and unique, you're going to receive some great value as well. So that's why you should definitely join. Oh, well, also I do know who the speakers are because I've read all the bios and stuff. And I'm like, wow, and this is only, your conference is only going to be X amount of dollars. So you will not be able to get the lineup that you're going to receive for the nice value that you were investing in out of, I don't even want to say it's a discount because the content and stuff is not a discount, but since Demetria has made it very accessible, don't miss out. Do not miss out. Oh, and because I have been going to the conference and because I got to see Demetria and her purpose, and that's why I decided to do her mastermind and coach. She knows what has transpired with my business and talking about what I charge now compared to where I was now, and people are paying me because I am very valuable. I wouldn't have been able, and being around Lena and other people, that energy, that connection, I don't think I would be where I'm at if I hadn't been able to have all the support and connection and people to be able to push me too, because sometimes we need to be pushed. So that is definitely why you need to go, because it's a safe space for you to be pushed, for you to hear the truth, and for you to go, bro, get.
Yeah, girl. Listen, because she sent me a message the other day. She was like, I just signed a contract.
Yes. When I got to tell you.
And this is the amount of dollars. And guess what? Woo, woo. And part of that was that conversation we had too with Christina. Like, yeah. So, yes. Lena, why do people participate?
So, and these dogs is on crunk. I am so sorry, like off the chain right now. But so I think that everyone needs to realize that 2021 is a crucial year for women, right? Not just, I am an advocate and just close to my heart for women business owners and entrepreneurs, but not just women entrepreneurs and business owners, women in general. I was just on a radio show with Score. We were talking about it. Women in general have been put behind about 40 years, right? Because of COVID and the mass exodus from the workplace and so forth. So 2021 going into 2022 is just a critical time for women.
Yes.
We know as underserved women, anything that's already critical for the masses is going to impact us even more, right? So we don't even have those statistics yet. So the reason why you should participate is because we got to get our mind right about our recovery period post-COVID, about our continuing our wealth building back up, continuing our, whether it's business ideas, whether it's family, whether it's mental wellness, whatever it is, our health. We have so much that we have to do in 2021 and beyond. And so we should participate because this is a safe space with a very economical threshold where we can create this ecosystem for ourselves so that we can support each other. And we're going to need that to build after post-COVID. And I think it's important for us to realize, to step back and realize that as women and as Black women, that we are resilient, pandemic or not, right? So we can talk just about the pandemic, but we are resilient and we need to lean into that. We need to remember that, support each other and lean into that. And this is a forum for open discussion about that and resolutions and suggestions and a blueprint on where do we go from here? Just so many of the things that you're offering. And so that's why I believe that we should participate, because we're at a crossroads just in society and in our lives with everything that has been happening, and we need to rebuild. And how do we rebuild? We rebuild together. And that's why it's so important for us to come together with the power of women, particularly underserved women, because we are impacted more always by what happens.
Yeah. When you talked about that resilience, I remember that was one of the things Michael said on the panel. We did have a panel of men talking about, really how do we as women get to the C-suite? We had men talk to us about that. And that was, like you said, very enlightening. We definitely got to do that when we can get back in person. But one of the things he said, and so Michael is a white man, and he said that the resilience that we have as Black women, specifically, he was like, you can't put that, don't show up on the resume, and it don't show up on the job description, but he knows what is there, and he would invest in that in spades, right? Basically, that's a summarization of what he said. It's like you can't quantify it, the value of it to an organization. And that's something we didn't even think about. Oh, how should I be quantifying my resilience? Because you need to pay me. Because when things go crazy and everybody losing their mind, who's the ones that keep that cool and help y'all bounce back? I'm just going to leave that down, but toss it to you, sister, because I know.
Yeah, I think everything Lena said is correct. You know, when again, as the saying goes, when America catches a cold, Black folks catch pneumonia, or we catch the flu. Then it's the same principle here. Black women, Black businesses in general were hit extremely hard by this pandemic. Black women, for all the what I think at one point it was like 11 million jobs were lost, and like of that, like 10 million were women. So anytime it's something that impacts the masses, Black women are going to take the brunt of it in a disproportionate way. And you know, Chris Brown made a song for a few years ago, "These Girls Ain't Loyal," and I feel the same way about these companies. I have seen sisters give so much of themselves to companies, to organizations, and it is not reciprocated. I mean, it's not reciprocated in our pay. We all know we make what 66 cents to the dollar of white men. It's not reciprocated in our pay. We rarely take all of our time off. We don't, we don't utilize all of the programs available, because we walk into the place degreed up and with a bunch of student loan debt, because we got to do that just to get in the door. So we rarely take advantage of companies being able to pay for us to go back to school. Let them pay for it if you want to get the benefit out of it. Things like that. And there's so many different areas where we are giving exponentially. And quite frankly, a paycheck, particularly one that is less than our white male counterparts, just ain't enough. It ain't cutting. So why should you participate? Because as I always say, time, talent, treasure, those are the three things. When you invest those three things, those are the things that whatever you invest your time, your talent, and your treasure in, those are the things that matter the most to you. So why wouldn't you invest in yourself first? So that's why you should participate, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I thank you all so much for this time to talk about the 5th annual Spring Into Leadership Women's Conference. The website is right there. You just click on it. We are 19 days away. It is going to be a virtual online experience, which means that wherever you are, you get to experience it. For those who are local to Orlando, hopefully we will have a little bit of surprise that I'm trying to work on. So we're going to keep that under wraps until I have all of that worked out. But of course it will be for the VIP. And so I would love to have as many of you out there watching or within the sound of our voice. We will start promoting probably tomorrow or Tuesday, probably Tuesday, that we have some scholarships. And for those who want to access those scholarships, we will have that available as well. And so I'm super excited. I hope you're excited. I know these ladies are excited. They're going to be participating again this year and doing different pieces and parts. And we want you to be there and join the party with us. And so with that, folks, tonight we're going to talk about POWher. right?
Power.
Power. So we want to unleash the power of women. You should be there. You can do the VIP if you can. Only have a few VIP spots left. So when you go see Super Inclusive VIP, there's only a handful of those left. And with that, we're going to get ready to sign off on the fur baby. Hey, who is that, Lena?
Coco.
Hey, Coco.
Look.
Hey, Coco. Coco, like never about y'all. With that, folks, we're going to sign off tonight. I'm going to ask you ladies to hold the line while we wave bye to the camera. Say good night, everybody.